Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is actually quite frightening. This is a story about a Marine who was not happy with what he felt was putting his colleagues in danger with a situation with DEI and how he was treated by our own Marines. And when I say the Marines, I don't mean the rank and file guys, I mean the hierarchy. And it's absolutely frightening. When I was contacted today by Basil the Great, who's a Twitter account. And Basil's one of these people that unusually for online that I've actually met in the real world. I speak to regularly in the real world of social media. And he's got quite a big following on Twitter. And I was speaking to him earlier on today and he said, I'm putting this post out, something you might be interested in. And he started telling me this story and I was like, that cannot be true. This is the British Marines we're talking about. And when you hear this story about this one distressed guy who felt that his comrades' lives were being put at risk because of certain DEI policies being brought in by our own armed forces, that he was interrogated. And he wasn't the only one. And this just blew my mind. So I'm going to use Basil's thread on X from earlier today, and he will have some documented proof of this, which I'll have access to hopefully tomorrow, and I will do a follow-up video on this. But this story, you can take it to the bank, and it's frightened the life out of me. So his X tweet, as I say, is Basil_TGMD. That's short for the Great Mouse Detective. I know, crazy name, but he's a good lad. Go on to Twitter, you can read this yourself. Started a petition raising awareness over policies that he believes will result in deaths of Marines. The petition gained 1,000 signatures of other Royal Marines within 24 hours before it was forcibly taken down. The Ministry of Defence said it was taken down because it was Russian disinformation. That is a lie. This is one of our armed servicemen who has been punished because he spoke the truth. And I'm going to get into the story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the details of his petition, what his concerns were. And then I'm going to show you a video of this Marine's brother describing the story about the lengths they went to. Practically arrested the guy under Terrorism Act conditions, which means you have no right to an attorney, you have no right to silence, and they can hold you for as long as you want. All because he voiced the concerns and took one for the team, because the team, as you'll hear in this story, stood behind him as you'd expect from soldiers, right, our armed forces. And it just blew my mind. Now, the start is bad. That's the actual petition and what this guy's fears were. But wait till you see the brother, his video, explaining the story in more detail. And as I say, I'm going to follow this up tomorrow once Basil provides me with some the background paperwork on this. This is frightening. So anyway, the actual petition said as follows. Let me just open this up. The Bootneck Petition, I believe that's the name Marines give their rank and file. This is a statement of concern about the dangerous push to advance inadequate female recruits through training despite not meeting standards. I am a serving Royal Marine, or a former serving Royal Marine. At this point, they'll try to keep him away from the public eye. By signing, this is the petition, I beg your pardon, was open to serving or ex-Marines. I agree to the following statements. I believe that every Marine has the responsibility to uphold their standards even in the face of political pressures. I am concerned that politicians and ideologically motivated individuals within the armed forces are forcing Commando Training Centre Royal Marines to give fake paper passes to female recruits. Now that's bonkers. Right, that's a big claim, right? That they feel that there's people no passing, getting passed just because of gender. This is a statement of concern about the dangerous push. That's the same one again. do beg your pardon, give me a wee second. I'm doing this in the car on a laptop without my mouse, and my fingers are obviously not so nimble. Right. I'm concerned that this could result in underqualified liabilities being put to my left and right, putting the mission, the men and those we are trying to protect in harm's way. I am concerned that politicians and the media are trapping our chain of command in a blackmail situation where we are forced to submit to harmful political ideologies or face losing funding and being disbanded. Now, you would think at this point you would be hard pushed to find a single person in the Marines that would talk again, that would, say the opposite, and they wouldn't be concerned. I am concerned that there are women in employment at Commando Training Centre Royal Marines whose sole purpose is to attempt to artificially push women through training and apply political pressure to the chain of command. I believe that the Marines should not be demonised for caring about this issue. I believe that unearned paper passes should be banned. I believe that every Marine should have the right to discuss this injustice without having his rank, job or deployment threatened. I believe that the political pressure coming from members of Parliament and the press is undermining our cohesion and unity and contributing to recruitment and retention issues. Finally, I believe that the consequences that arise from challenging this situation are nothing when compared to those we would face if we let it slide. Thank you. Anonymous Marine. So that was put out on the internet, and in the space of 24 hours, 1,000 Marines or ex-Marines signed it and agreed with the sentiment of the petition. And any normal-minded person would think, hold on a minute, DEI seriously cannot have trump card rights over suitability when you're talking about guys and women that are defending our country. And the Marines are only a successful part of our armed forces because the training, the expectations are so high, and it allows them to be one of the upper tier fighting forces within our armed forces. So to put any DEI, whether that be on sex, on religion, on skin colour, on physical attributes, is absolutely bonkers and dangerous. And does, as this, I believe what this man is saying, does put not only the ability to carry out missions successfully, to carry them out with as little loss as possible. If you are standing beside a soldier who is not as good as he should be. And when you think about how the Marines operate, similar to our SAS, they wouldn't be put in situations that any normal soldier can cope with. They are put into more serious and more important situations because of their abilities. So for me to then undermine that is just absolutely bonkers. It beggars belief. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you a video put out by his brother, who is also on Twitter and I believe YouTube as the Plastic Scot. Basil has been speaking to these people and offered them a platform with my podcast. And I would be delighted to investigate this further. But as Basil has agreed to share with me some background documents to this, which I should have tomorrow, I will be doing at least one other follow-up on this, but maybe two, if I am fortunate enough to have this brave member of our armed forces agree to come on to the podcast. So this is his brother on his podcast.
This is a message.
Sorry. This is his brother's podcast explaining the situation. And this, if you listen, is jaw-dropping. Believe me.
This is a message directly to my community. Please take a moment to listen to this video, and if you agree with it, then share it with other YouTubers and media reporters alike. I've been a YouTuber for 5 years, and in that time, I've never once gone into politics because as a YouTuber, it's not really my responsibility, or I don't feel like it's my responsibility to teach you what you should believe and what political opinions you should have. However, the British government is currently trying to slander, discredit, and defame my little brother, who is a royal Royal Marine Commando simply for opposing something that he felt personally would result in the death of Marines. Now, by making this video and by standing with my little brother, the British government will most likely come for me next. They may have this video removed, they might have both my channels demonetized, and they'll probably try and dig up some dirt to discredit me. I want them to know that there is nothing I won't sacrifice for my family. So, with that being said, what's actually happened? My little brother expressed some concerns over dangerous DEI policies within a Corps of Royal Marines, and he made a petition to express those concerns. 1,000 Royal Marine Commandos signed that petition within 24 hours, and then the petition was taken down, and the chain of command circulated messages saying that it was Russian disinformation. It wasn't Russian disinformation, it was my little brother and 1,000 Royal Marine Commandos. So what did the Ministry of Defence decide to do? Well, instead of addressing the problem that all of these Royal Marines Commandos had signed up for, instead what they did is they started a witch hunt to try and locate the individual that started this petition so that they could make their life hell. One of the ways they did that was Marines were literally taken into bright lit rooms and interrogated to try and give up one of their brothers. And yet guess what? Nobody gave him up, because the bootnecks have got principles, something the chain of command could take a lesson from. Now, after weeks of intimidation and threats, my little brother began to feel bad for his friends, for the guys around him who were all being threatened and intimidated by the Ministry of Defence, and so he went to his chain of command, put his hand up and said, "It was me that started the petition." And so what did they do? Well, they flew him down to the main mod Ministry of Defence building in London, on the other side of the country, and interrogated him, where they threatened him, his career, and his family. Well, guess what? I'm his family, and I'm going to shine a light on your total abuse of power, you shameful, pitiful, weak cowards. Now, after his first interrogation was over, he then went on holiday with his wife to decompress. But guess what happens next? He then arrives back into the United Kingdom, where on arrival there's 5 police officers waiting for specifically him. He's then dragged into another interrogation room, this time under the Section 7 Terrorism Act. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to even start. Just to be clear, that means he has no right to a lawyer. He has no right to silence. He must answer every single question. He must turn over all of his possessions and give them access to his phone and essentially all his passwords. Just to be clear, my little brother is not a criminal, and for the love of God, he is certainly not a terrorist. He is a patriot, and he is a member, a serving member of the armed forces. But because freedom is being eroded and justice is backwards under this British government, what they decided to do was strip him of his possessions in order to try and find something so they can go, haha, look, he was a bad guy after all. This is what justice and freedom look like for a patriot and a serving member of the armed forces in British society today. Freedom. You gotta love it. Let's make this very, very clear. None of this would have ever happened if he just stayed quiet about that DEI policy. And so what happens next? What they're gonna do is they're gonna try and slander, defame, and discredit him to make him look like a far-right radical instead of addressing the concerns of 1,000 Royal Marines in a one-day period. Sure, the reason they're trying to do this is because they're going to make an example of him. Because if they crucify him, then nobody will ever again have the courage to stand up and resist this ridiculous political brain rot. Now, this sort of thing only ever happens because my little brother doesn't have a platform. He's an elite soldier. He doesn't have social media, and he has no ability to amplify his voice, which is why I am here doing that for him. I will give him that platform, and I will give him that voice. I ask that everybody watching this spreads this message far and wide. Asmongold TV, Elon Musk, JD Vance, hell, even send it to Donald Trump. I don't care. Whoever is willing to show that the British government that recently claimed that we have a free society and freedom of speech, this is what actually happens. This is the reality. This is what happens if you actually stand up for what you believe. Remember, all of this spawned from him being concerned about people dying in battle. And this is the response. So, YouTubers, anybody else who's listening to this, reporters, I ask that you stand up for your principles and you stick your neck out. We are slowly losing our freedoms and our society is eroding and decaying in front of our very eyes. And to those of you who are pushing this agenda, be aware that we have already recorded part 2. We know the playbook, what you're gonna do next with trying to slander and defame him and make him seem like an extremist so you can discredit and ignore his concerns rather than actually just addressing them. And I will be releasing that soon if this continues to go downhill, because we know what you're gonna say. We know what you're gonna do. It's so unbelievably predictable because you've done it a million times before. All of this could have just been resolved by sitting down and having a conversation about the policy, which is why they made the petition. But no, we've got to do this. I did not want to make this video. I did not want to do politics. I have been a YouTuber for 5 years and I never intended on introducing you to politics. I will not stand and stay silent whilst they criticize and crucify my brother, whilst I know who he is. I know what he stands for. I know he's a good person and I know he is concerned about the Marines. And he doesn't want to look back in 10 years' time and see somebody's been killed in battle and be the one thinking, oh, well, if only I had said something. So he stuck his neck out and they've chopped it off. I'll be sure to link alternative versions of this video down below because they will probably remove it and demonetize me and potentially take my channel. I'll also be sure to link down below something so that you can go and see what was actually in the petition for itself, because in the petition they said this was gonna happen, and look at what happened. Wow, how predictable. YouTubers, I'm gonna ask you to step up and cover this. I'm one of you. With this, if this doesn't get covered, they'll get us both. To be honest, it's a selfish request. They will come for us, and if there's not enough noise, if we don't make enough stink out of this, they will get me. They will come for me, and they'll come for my little brother. And that'll be it. So we're making a stand, and we hope that you will stand with us. Sorry for getting into politics. Principles matter, and more people should stand by them. Thank you for your time. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, and of course, stay peaceful.
Well, as requested by my YouTube colleague, Plastic Scott, but more importantly, and with all due respect to yourself, on behalf of your brother, one of our brave armed forces personnel, I do this for you both, but your brother first and foremost. Now, I do hope you understand that, and I would be shocked and stunned if you didn't agree with that. So where do you start with this? Arresting him after returning from a holiday with his wife at an airport, I would imagine, unless he came by boat, and held him under terror. This is one of our own. Now, I really don't know where they go with this. This guy's obviously scared for his brother, and I totally respect him for that. Absolutely hat off to him. A boy of principles, a young man with principles, and his younger brother, a brave young man with principles. One of our Marines, one of our most elite branches of our armed forces. This guy has got to be good to be able to be a Marine and put on that berry. And I've got the utmost respect for him and every one of his colleagues, current and prior. And to treat our own like this. The army all the armed forces are struggling to recruit people. But that should not allow us to bend the quality accepted to get to the upper echelons of the forces like our Marines or an SAS, etc. Staying up to date with events around the world can be difficult, where it's impossible to consult a single source for the full story. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media and corporate-backed vested interests. It's hard to know what information to trust. See what the media is exaggerating, sensationalising, over or under reporting. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if it has any political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. Take a data-driven view on the news and stay current. Get news from thousands of sources worldwide in one place. I've been using Ground News to help me get all the world's news in one place and give a more balanced opinion on what we read and viewing who is telling us the truth and who isn't. Subscribe via my link to get 40% off the Vantage subscription. It's the one I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription can not only help my channel, but also help Ground News, as it makes the media landscape more transparent. They should not be held to any DI. They should be held to one thing and one thing only, the quality of that soldier or that Marine. That's it. You either pass and achieve the standards we set, or you don't, regardless of your sex, your religion, your skin colour, your ethnic race, etc. None of that should come into it. And unfortunately, that would mean that some people who have got disabilities, for example, would be unable to get to, and I'm sure some people with certain disabilities have been able to achieve the standards, and absolutely well done to them. Fantastic. However, majorities, particularly with physical disabilities, it would be very, very difficult for them to range the standards. So we can't lower it, because those people would be in danger, but not only themselves, to the guys to the right and the left of them if they're put into a battle scenario. But we arrest the guy, we interrogate him, we interrogate his colleagues, his fellow Marines have been taken in, and fair play to they boys, every single last one of them, who went, no, we're no daubing, the code is more important to us than the threats you're making to me. But that boy, again, principled boy, said, hold on a minute, my colleagues are getting held in question here, so I need to do the right thing, and I'm going to stop this nonsense and put myself in. Absolutely hero status. So well done, that man. I salute you, right? I'd love to meet you one day and shake your hand. And I'm really disgusted at the way he's been treated. So, as requested, Craig Houston reporting for duty, doing the right thing, taking principles and standards above anything else. And I hope that we see sense in this madness of DEI recruitment, because to have it in the Marines is absolutely bonkers. And this boy is 100% right. It puts the risks, it puts the lives, they're already at life's at risk any time they get deployed to anywhere where there's real action, right? But to have people beside them of lower standard puts the whole squad in danger. Who can't see this? It's mental. So please, not for me, but for Plastic Scott and his brave young brother, do me a big massive favour. Like this, put some comments and share the life out of this. For their benefit, no mine. And if you want to, if you've got a YouTube channel, go and make another video and get this out. Share it everywhere you can, because this boy and his colleagues deserve that, right? They're prepared to put their life in the line for us. The least we can do is show a little bit of the support back by spreading this all over the place. So please do that. And as I say at the end of all my videos, the most important thing of all is, unless you are part of our Ministry of Defence or government who put this boy in an interrogation situation and think that's good and proper, then no you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.